Hey guys, Mike here, and in this video I'm going to give my reaction slash hot take on some of the personal skills that the characters have in Fire Emblem Engage. I think there are actually probably there are probably better opinions than mine from players that are better than me, like Mecha, but I'm just giving you my take on these skills based on my Fire Emblem experience, but if you probably want a more professional take, you can probably go just check out Mecha's video. But hopefully, maybe I can say some things that are a little different than what other people are saying. But so let's get right into it. So if you want my TLDR super hot take that I don't think anyone's saying, I think that for hard mode classic, I don't think any of these skills matter at all. In other words, you could probably beat the game even if these skills didn't exist. But I'm not. I think these skills being in the game are still good. They give each character a little flavor and something that a little bonus utility that you can that's on your side. Like, it's not bad to have them, right? It's just free skills. So I'm not hating on it like that. I'm just saying you probably don't really need them ultimately for hard mode classic. Now, for whatever the higher difficulty after hardening it, hard is, like maddening or lunatic or whatever it's going to be called in this game, I think these skills will matter. So that's a complete 180 of what I just said. Because for maddening, the hit rates of your characters and the avoid rates of your enemies are just so high that you need to utilize everything at your disposal to win the battle, and personal skills play a big role in that. So that's my hot take. For most people, I don't think they're really going to matter because most people just play hard, classic, and if you're playing on the lower difficulty, normal, casual, whatever it's called, then I'm pretty sure they're definitely not going to matter. But anyways, let's get right into it, and I'll just give a little quick take on all of them. So and I'll try to do it from the context of maddening, the difficulty higher than hard mode, right? Because it, like I said earlier, it doesn't make sense for me to really evaluate them based on hard, classic, or lower difficulties. So right here we have, I guess this Alear. It says divinely inspiring. Adjacent allies deal +3 damage and take 1 less damage. This is really good even on lower difficulties because, so assume on average you can get maybe 3 units adjacent to Alear, and when you engage the enemy's front line. And okay, so that's +3 damage, so +9. But then if all your units can double, then that's ×2. So that's +18 damage. And if you can do that on enemy phase, 18 times 2 is 36, right? So that's just 36 damage, additional damage for 1 turn, which is both player and enemy phase. So that's really good. And then the same idea for the 1 less damage. And, it just doesn't sound good on paper, like 1 less damage. Oh, that's not that much. But it's actually quite a bit when you add it up. So like 1 less damage for 3 units. That's 3 units. So that's 3 less damage. And then again, the same idea if you're going to get doubled, which you shouldn't be getting doubled on hard or lower. So maybe you can just keep it at 3. But maybe, like I said, on maddening or the lunatic difficulties or whatever they're called, you're probably going to get doubled early on. So, taking 1 less damage, that's 6 less damage for 3 units. And then if you're going to have to deal with them on enemy phase as well, you multiply that by 2 as well. So 6, and that's 12 less damage, right? And that really adds up. And then across the whole turn, across the whole map, 10 turns, 36 additional attack power plus 12 protection times 10 turns. That really adds up because the reason why this is so good is because it's very easy to it's very easy to use. That is, you can consistently get it off. All you gotta do is just stand your ally units next to this guy, and that's really easy to do. Most of the time, you're going to want to be doing that anyways. Moving your footlock units as a group towards the objective. So that's all I'm saying. It's really good. Okay. Next, we got Alfred, self-improver. If a unit uses weight without attacking or using items, grants +2 strength per turn. So that's basically an enemy-only phase skill, right? So you can, when you wait, you're basically foregoing your player phase and you're just going to rely on enemy phase. So this could be good for, letting Alfred just take a bunch of, or deal out a bunch of damage on enemy phase. So you're foregoing your player phase. So I think if you're going to use this, you definitely want to take more than one attack on enemy phase. It's situational, but on the higher difficulties, that +2 strength is definitely needed. But the question is it more valuable than hit and avoid? Hit and avoid is usually more, I don't say more valuable, but hit and avoid is much more needed on maddening and lunatic and the harder difficulties rather than strength initially, right? Because you need to be reliably hitting your enemies. So if you can calculate and you don't really need the +2 strength, it's, I don't know, I'm leaning towards situational, but I don't really want to say anything is just flat out bad, because like I said, they're all free skills, so it's like anything you can get that's given to you for free, just use it, right? Okay. Next we got Yunaka. Okay. Train to kill. When a unit occupies terrain that provides a void bonus, grants crit +15. I think for the players that are planned very strategically, I don't think this is very good, because players who play strategically like to not gamble, right? They don't try to gamble. And the thing with crit is, because it starts off so low, and any improvements to crit are not really going to guarantee you a crit, usually given most characters' stats. +15 crit is hard to strategize around. So it's a nice it's a nice bonus. Like you're sending your thief on a mission to go dodge tank or get aggro of enemies, and if you get a crit, it's a nice bonus. So that's how I think of this, as a nice bonus, not really something to really strategize around. All right, next, Louis. If 2 female allies are adjacent within 2 spaces, this unit takes 2 less damage during combat. Very situational, but the nice thing, from what I can understand, is that this is both a player phase and a enemy phase skill. Alchrist. When an ally within 2 spaces is attacked, grants +3 strength to unit for 1 turn. Okay, so this is an enemy phase type of skill. So you have the guy in front, and then I guess Alchrist is behind or something, or close by, and then grants +3 strength. Again, it's the same as Alfred, sort of, where it's situational. It's not. You have to plan for it, but it's definitely an enemy phase thing. And if you need that extra juice on enemy phase, it could be useful. And I'm not gonna rate it too highly, but still, it's just another tool in the toolbox. So not going to hate on it any more than maybe some people are hating on it. All right, Citrine. When this unit also uses a healing item, as used in allies, also recover the same amount of HP. I definitely think on the much harder difficulties, this is going to be pretty good. That extra healing, especially early game, is going to be useful. So if this unit uses a healing item, so if you use a vulnerary, which is like maybe 10, I heard it's 15 HP, then other units, that's a 400% increase, up to 400% increase in healing, right? So if you get all your units around her, AoE heals, especially, a physic is nice, it has that range, but it only heals 1 unit. But an AoE heal, like healing multiple units, that's kind of like a Gambit from 3 Houses. What was it? Resonant White Magic, where it could heal up to 6 units in a 2x3 formation. So I'm getting that kind of vibe. I really like a white Resonant Magic. That was pretty good in my opinion back in 3 Houses. So this, I'm getting a similar vibe, and definitely useful, especially on harder difficulties where you're taking more damage. The enemies are going to be hitting you more often. You're not going to be dodging everything. So it's probably definitely useful there. All right, next is this chick, the red-haired chick. Sure spoils. If there's an ally within 1 space, grants hit and avoid +10 at a cost of -10. I think this is really good because, like I said earlier, on maddening, you know, hit and avoid are really much more needed and much more coveted in maddening or whatever lunatic modes. You know, I'm just gonna call it like maddening. Okay, let's just call it maddening because that was what 3 houses was. You know, the name could change. I'm just gonna call it maddening. So hit and avoid, like I said, is really needed. And you don't really care about crit that much because, like I said earlier, you're not trying to strategize around getting crits because it's just gambling, right? And this, you can apply this skill up to 4 units, maybe realistically only 3 if you know, if you have a front line and you have a healer. Maybe like the healer is behind you, or maybe if you can get +3 range, then you know, archer. If archer can get +3 range and you're standing behind her, you can hit the enemy in the front line. So that could work, and then you could get your plus hit and avoid +10. So that's 10 utility and hit and avoid. That's 20 utility per unit times up to 4 units. Right, so that's 20 times 4 is 80 times 2 for enemy phase. So enemy phase 160 utility, and you can consistently do it across the whole map, which is about 10 turns. So you can multiply that by 10. So it's similar to Absolvo, but you're getting hit and avoid instead. I think this is really good. All right, Jean. Oops, I hit the wrong. Okay, there we go. Expertise grants unit enhanced stat growth and level. So this is a very selfish skill. It's only going to benefit him. I'm getting Paragon vibes from it. You know, it really depends on how much growth you get from this, but seems pretty. Paragon has always consistently been very, very good in previous games. Like, it's just because you don't have to babysit that unit that much, and that's my take on this. It really depends on the growth, though. All right, let's go. Chloe, Fairy Tale Folk. If a male and female ally are adjacent within 2 spaces, unit deals +2 damage during combat. So it's instead of it's just adjacent, you have a little larger range. So you can, you know, if you're not, you can definitely get a lot of units. And it's +2 damage, and it's both player phase and enemy phase. Making a killing. You may obtain 500 gold when you defeat the foe. Trigger percent luck. Okay, so when I saw this, I looked at the luck stat of Anna right now. She's a level 6 axe fighter, so I'm guessing that's the class 1, her first class, and her luck is only 3. So that's a 3% chance. I don't know, it doesn't seem that good. I mean, it's just kind of, you have to think of it as a bonus, I would say. And we're not really sure how much 500 gold gets you. Is 500 gold a lot? I don't know, we have to see. All right, next. When a unit, Eti energized, when a unit recovers HP using an item, grants strength +2 for 1 turn. So you're essentially using an item. I think this is highly situational. You would basically have to take your unit to the front line. Is that when a unit recovers? So when this unit... Oh, but I heard she's an archer. Okay. So she has to go to the front line, use a vulnerary, and then get attacked to utilize that strength. So it's basically a combat phase skill, but you're putting her on the front line with archer. It seems a little strange, but I think there's kind of a reason why they did that, so I'm very interested to use it. I'll kind of reserve my opinion on this. I typically like to put 2 range units on the front line because I like to get greedy. So I think I might like that skill, but we'll definitely have to see. So it has potential, but I think most people on the whole will say, that's kind of strange. Swing Gentle Flower recovery items used by allies within 2 spaces heal +50 HP. So if vulnerary is 10, then you get an additional 5 HP. That could be good. I mean, you're using more items, right? Every ally unit would still have to use their own vulnerary. So I mean, it could be a make or break situation where you really need that healing. So you know, it's not going to be useful all the time, like on every single turn and every single player phase and every single enemy phase. But when I'm sure there's going to be times when it just pops out and you really needed that healing to survive. I'm sure it's going to be really useful in that situation. All right, move to tiers. When an ally joins a chain attack in this unit's combat, unit deals +2 damage. So when he gets assistance or someone helps him with the chain attack, then he gets +2 damage. Yeah, Yeah, pretty good. I mean, you're gonna move your units as a squad up, and so it's really telling you, hey, use your backup units that can do those chain attacks to really move with him. And so if he's one unit, the enemy's in front of him, and then you have 3 units, three backup units, for example, to the left and the right and behind you, then you can get another +2 damage, so up to +6 damage on player phase. And then what I'm wondering is, do the chain attacks happen on enemy phase as well? Because then that's ×2, right? So you're getting +6 ×2 plus up to +12. If that is the case, that you get chain attacks on enemy phase. So I think that's pretty good. All right. Next, we're going to go to Vander. If a unit is adjacent to Divine Dragon, which I'm assuming is Alear, grants +5 crit during combat to both of them. So this only affects 2 units. And it's both a player phase and enemy phase. But again, it's crit, so it's not really, you can't really strategize around that much. You know, if you're, maybe if you're at like 95 crit and you just need that +5 crit to guarantee a crit hit, then yeah, I can see that. But again, like I said, the crit rates are traditionally very low, so you're not going to be strategizing around crit that much. So I would just think of this as a nice bonus for both Alear and Vander. Alright, Fram. If a unit is adjacent to Divine Dragon, grants avoid +10 during combat to both of them. I think this is a little bit more useful than Vander's, but again, it's still very selfish in the sense that it only affects Fram and the Divine Dragon, which is Alear, which I'm assuming. So +10 avoid, yeah, it could be useful, but avoid, again, like I said, well, actually avoid, you still don't really, on the really harder difficulties, you want to expect to get hit by the enemy, right? You're going to plan your strategy around the worst case scenario where you're going to get hit by the enemy. So that +10 avoid, I still think of it as a little bonus, but it's a much needed bonus on maddening difficulties. Alright, next we got Clan. The unit is adjacent to Divine Dragon. Okay, so it's kind of the same idea. Grants +10 hit. Same as Fram. It's it's a nice little bonus just for the Alear and Clan. But it could. I think the hit is actually a little bit more useful, because usually I feel like on maddening the hit hovers around 70, 80-ish. So that +10 hit could just take you to that threshold, or in that comfortable range where you're like, okay, I'm really confident I'm going to hit this attack, especially on the harder difficulties. So I think that's a little bit more useful than Fram's. Alright, Fair Fight. If a unit initiates, I guess if this guy initiates combat, grants +15 hit to unit and foe and is able to counterattack. I think this is very useful, because like I said earlier, on harder difficulties, you're expecting worst case scenario, right? That the enemy is going to hit you. So if the enemies are going to hit you, you don't really care if you give them +15 hit. You really don't care. So just take the +15 hit on your end, give him the +15 hit, which you don't care about, and it makes everything more consistent and easy to strategize and plan around. So I think this is pretty good. And again, it's both it's only a player phase thing, because you have to initiate combat. So that's kind of rough. If it was both the enemy and a player phase thing, I would have liked it a little better, but apparently it's only player phase. Maybe they already thought it was too strong, that's why. To just give +15 hit for both player and enemy phase, which I don't think the devs really want you to do. Inspiring Hero. If no other units are within one space of unit or foe, so I guess basically if this guy and the guy he's fighting are just in a deserted area, just fighting on a desert, like in some sort of anime, grant hit +20 at the cost of -10 avoid. I think this is pretty good. It's kind of the same idea where you want to get consistent hit rates to make sure you're dealing damage, and you're already going to accept for the fact on harder difficulties you're going to be getting hit, because you're not going to strategize around potentially not getting hit. That's just too risky, it's too gambling. So that +20 hit guaranteed is really good, and it looks like it's both a player and an enemy phase. So I think that's actually might be a little bit better than the previous guy one, but again, it's a little situational where you have to be out in the desert. So this makes me think, okay, I'm going to use Amber more for going side objectives, like he's going to go get villages and stuff where he's out on his own. So you really don't want him close by. Now he can help out your main squad who's focusing on the main objective by like just making sure when you attack from an angle that you're not, you know, the situation is allows this skill to proc, basically. Okay, next. Ivy, single-minded. During combat with a foe who was also unit's most recent opponent grants hit plus 20. This is, I mean, the hit plus 20 is nice. It's probably going to be more useful on boss units for more consistency. So it's kind of like a snowball thing. It's a plus 20 on every subsequent combat phase, so up to plus 20, plus 40, plus 60? I don't think so, but you know, for bosses where you're struggling to hit, I can see where this is useful. And I think one video I saw said that her stats are very consistent across the board, so she can stay in combat longer because she has that defense and resistance that make her a little bit more durable. So yeah, pretty good. More for single target boss units, I would imagine. Good for stopping bosses, maybe. Alright, Blinding Flash. If a unit initiates combat, inflict avoid minus 20. So it's only a player phase thing, and it's a minus 10 avoid. So again, I think of it as a little bonus, the minus 10 avoid. If it happens to help you not get hit, then that's a good thing. Just a little bonus. Not quite. If a foe initiates combat, inflicts hit minus 20 on that foe during combat. It initiates, so a player phase only thing. The thing is too, if you start your player phase with the with this guy on, say, a boss enemy or any other enemy, but maybe a boss enemy, you get that hit minus 10 on the foe. Does that hit minus 10 apply for the rest of the turn? You know, so if everybody's dogpiling on one unit, and because you started with this unit and you got that hit minus 10 on him, does every other unit, ally unit that's attacking him after, get the benefits of this hit minus 10 on that foe? That's one thing I'm wondering. If so, that could be pretty good, like for bosses and stuff. Same for this guy that hit minus 10 on bosses, who you're constantly trying to dogpile on one unit with all your units. If not, then that might be not as good, but. All right. Big personality. When a unit uses a healing staff, when the unit uses a healing staff, grants range plus 1. So you use a healing staff on player phase, and then you get plus 1 range on enemy phase. Because I mean, if you're using your healing staff, you're using up your turn. Or is it plus 1 range to the healing staff? I'm not sure. We'll have to test that in game. I don't want to say anything right now about that. Disarming Sigh. If a foe is male, inflicts hit minus 20 on that foe during combat. Decent, situational, but if you can constantly, if you're good enough to make mental notes of what enemies, male and female, and keep track of that and do that, you get that hit minus 20, and it seems like there's no just player phase or just enemy phase, so it's both player. I'm getting the vibe that it's both a player phase and an enemy phase. So if you can plan around it, I think this is pretty good. If foe is male, inflicts minus 20 avoid on that foe during combat. Same as the previous one. It seems like both a player phase and an enemy phase type of thing. So again, I as you can see, I really like it if it's both player phase and enemy phase. It just gives you more opportunity to use the skill. So same. I feel pretty good about this one as well. Again, it's conditional. You have to keep track of that, right? But if you really embrace your character and you really know your character's personality, it should be second nature to know that this is their skill. Unbreakable. I think the other ones were for boss units. So I think we're done here. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about these personal skills. Like I said, hard, classic, you probably don't need these. But for maddening and higher difficulties, this is something you're definitely going to want to look at in your strategies and how you engage combat with enemies. So that's it for this video, and thanks for watching.